This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Hello and welcome to Daily Blast Live. It's Wednesday, October 30th. I'm here with Al, Brandon, Lindsay, and I'm Tori. Let's get right to it. What really feels like the Trump impeachment showdown is about to reach a boiling point. Yesterday, this man, Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, reportedly testified that the transcript of the call between the Trump and the president of Ukraine left out crucial words and phrases. Meantime, the president and his allies are attacking the Iraqi war veteran. Take a look.
Now, wait a second, John. Here we have a U.S. national security official who is advising Ukraine while working inside the White House, apparently against the president's interest, and usually they spoke in English.
You know, some people might call that espionage.
Calling him a spy, but some are defending the Army officer who was awarded a Purple Heart, including Republican and Dick Cheney's wife and Senator Liz Cheney.
We need to show that we are better than that as a nation. Their patriotism, their love of country. We're talking about decorated veterans who have served this nation, who have put their lives on the line, and it is shameful to question their patriotism, their love of this nation, and we should not be involved in that process.
I mean, at some point, calling someone a spy and he's reached a Purple Heart in Iraq and is trying to do the best for his country and be the best American is a bit absurd. I just want to know what you guys think about this.
And I don't think we should ever question the patriotism of a lieutenant colonel, right? He's trying to do his job. We're going to see what comes out. But I do think this whole thing has been secretive and convoluted. We're trying to figure out what's going on. At the same time that these reports came out, reports that Schiff kept cutting off the whistleblower and other people that were testifying, trying to coerce them into getting them to say what he wanted to say. And all we have right now are reports from people that were in a closed-door meeting. And I think constituents want to know what's going on. So if they're going to move forward and impeach, let's see what happens. If they're not, let us know what's going on in there.
I think we always get hung up on things like closed-door meetings. We have closed-door meetings right there. Sam just had one with our boss.
Process.
That's the way meetings work. Not everything takes place in the middle of.
But things keep leaking out, so who is it benefiting?
Well, it would be less than if it was in public, I would think. It's just weird that we, like I said, we always talk out of two sides of our mouth when it comes to our soldiers. We always say we support them, we love our troops, we love them to death, but when it's time to put some money up for the VA, that stuff never passes. Whenever there's a question between Trump and General Mattis, who is probably the most famous general of our lifetime, he is now lampooned in the most overrated general. A person with a Purple Heart was made fun of and is dismissed. At the beginning of his presidency, Trump went after a Gold Star family. No one said anything. So we can't. So the cons. But he was brown, Tori. So we can't have it both ways. You can't support the troops, and every time we start talking about the highest troops, generals, they're all leaking and lying and self-involved.
I was shocked.
So just like don't say I support the troops anymore, because everybody.
Everybody's not taking that stance, though.
But yes, anytime a general says anything, they're attacked and lampooned and said that they're lying. so then you don't support the troops. So then get that on a T-shirt.
How can we nitpick through something that we don't have all the information about,
because
right?
That's how the House works. It's not a trial. It's not the OJ trial. We have closed meetings because that's the process. And I think it's bizarre that people are fighting the process. It will happen. Bill Clinton went through it. It'll happen. We all argued about it, but they have to take their time to get it right.
I would think every
it's taking
meeting
their time
is
because 31 of those Democrats in the House are worried about re-election next year. And I think that we need to think about, is this impeachment going to be worth it or not? Because I think they're all worried about their seats getting, 31 of the people are in Trump districts, I should say. Well, so they're worried about not having the seats. And I think we should follow the democratic process and go through this. I'm just saying people have other things to think about as we move forward to 2020.
Very true. We want to know, this is important. We want to know what you guys think. This is important. Facebook, YouTube, write us in. We're watching all day. And again, Liz Cheney is Dick Cheney's daughter, a congresswoman, not his wife. I apologize for that. Was Jeffrey Epstein killed? The disgraced financier who was under investigation, you remember this, for federal sex trafficking charges, was just found dead in his jail cell on August 10th. But now, a former medical examiner who observed his autopsy is claiming he may have been killed. Take a look.
I think that the evidence points toward homicide rather than suicide.
Why?
Because there are multiple 3 fractures in the hyoid bone, the thyroid cartilage, that are very unusual for suicide and more indicative of strangulation, homicidal strangulation.
So we've seen this guy on an HBO, I believe it's HBO special. Yep. He's very well known, and he was hired by Epstein's brother. And again, 3 bones right here. Yep. I smell something fishy here. I think he was, in my opinion, a speculation, I think he was murdered.
Yeah, he even goes on to say that how the doctor who was in charge of that procedure at the time didn't think there was enough information for it to be deemed a suicide, and he later recanted that and then said it was a suicide. But here's why, and I'm not going down the conspiracy theory path, even though we love a conspiracy theory. Here's why a lot of people are saying this, because Jeffrey Epstein, as we know, had a lot of connections. That's what got him that plea deal back in Florida in 2008. So this time, it looks like you're not going to be able to use these connections to get you out. So what does every high-ranking cartel member, high-ranking sort of criminal who has some sort of syndicate, what do they have? That little black book of information of those who have helped him, those of power who have helped him throughout the time.
Yeah, he's got connections.
So it makes it looks like those connections have come out and
But do you know how many connections
hit.
it takes to get into a prison, shut down the computers or cameras, kill someone, and then have no one talk about it?
And I want to point out that he was also on suicide watch for attempted suicide prior to this. So, let's not just really make all these accusations. It could just be unfortunate suicide.
Yeah, but why would you be taken off of suicide watch? Why would there Why would there be no cameras in that cell?
Yeah,
how come
you could make the argument he's the most famous prisoner in America at the time. Like everybody.
He's El Chapo,
yes, not that.
Yeah,
but close. But to that level of fame where he's a household name, so you would think if anybody is going to have an eyeball kept on him, it would be this guy, and all of a sudden he's left long enough to either
strangle himself or
it's a little weird.
And remember, there was an attempt before on strangulation. So DBL Nation, again, let us know. Facebook, YouTube, write us in. We're reading all day, and we'll be commenting on your
I'm not reading.
I am.
I stopped reading right after work.
You're the worst. All right. A man was climbing Mount Fuji in Japan. This is crazy. And like so many people these days, what was he doing? He was live streaming it on YouTube. So people could follow along. And they did. But then this happened. Well, the man appears to slip and begins falling. Now the whole thing is caught on camera, and remember, was live streamed, so people are watching this concerned, and now authorities, I hate to say this, have recovered a body.
Wow.
He fell off of Mount Fuji at about 9,800 feet. He was saying, I hope this is the way up. I would hope a climber would know the way up to Mount Fuji. He said it's very slippery, and then boom, he falls.
And he's climbing the tallest mountain in Japan and doing it live. You have to think that he's doing it for Instagram likes or social media likes, whatever he was, what platform he was on. And so, he said
Nico was the platform, yes.
And he said, my fingers are cold, but I have to operate my smartphone. That's something that he said. No, you don't. No, you don't. If you really wanted to climb the mountain genuinely, then you would be safe, have all hands on deck, not hold your phone to show everybody what you're doing. We're getting too far in this culture.
I agree, Lindsay.
That translation to me is like, my fingers are cold, but I have to do it for the gram. Like, let's be honest, like that. But here's why there's always going to be an audience for this. People are tired of watching Bear Grylls or watching Man vs. Wild, why it's so produced. This is live. It's live streamed, and you see what can actually happen. Discovery or investigative ID or whatever, they're not going to let anything happen to Bear Grylls. So this is why I feel as though there'll always be an audience for this.
I don't know. I don't know if we can say that, Tori. Look, since
You're
the beginning.
You're watching a man die?
But that's why people watch. Why do we watch the Flying Walendas walk across the buildings?
Yep.
Because it's death-defying. That's how they get people into the. They're like, come watch. What is the X Games? Have you ever seen one of those half pipes? It's crazy when you see them up close, and you know that a person could die if they did that wrong, and that's why you're watching. It's something weird in us. It's the reason people watch UFC. People like that, and we have to understand that we are a part of this, because if he wasn't getting any viewers on that, he wouldn't have been up there.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm going home.
I know.
I mean, that's crazy. And the live stream people had to alert authorities. They were like, he's fallen. Well, we actually have another sad news to report. Actor and comedian John Witherspoon has died. He was 77 years old, appearing in movies like Friday, Next Friday, and many, many more. John was one of the hardest working men in Hollywood. He is survived by his wife, 2 sons, and a very large family. Our own Al Jackson has a unique experience. You know or knew John Witherspoon?
I knew John. Yeah, he was a friend of mine. Actually, when I met my first wife, we were hanging out in the club, and I was like, "Who's this cute girl?" John's been just an inspiration of mine, just as a comic. We're in this age, and I'm gonna date myself, but like where you can get super famous in your basement, you can get millions of followers. John was one of those guys. Like my buddy, I just texted him and told him John passed, and he said he was in Cleveland 2 weeks ago performing. So it's like he's one of the few performers that still used to tour and get out there 40 weeks a year, even at 77. Wow. It didn't matter if his back was hurting. Just think about how many flights, but he loved to entertain, and they just don't make him like that anymore. So that's why I kind of just nod my head to the old school entertainers. Don Rickles, I think, died in '93. He still had tour dates on the books. My buddy saw George Carlin 8 days before he died. Like comics, some entertainers just do it till they can't stand up anymore. So I really respect people like John, and he was just a great guy.
And you saw the love and respect he got in Hollywood. I'm talking Ice Cube from Friday, the Wayans brothers. Because remember, he was with the Wayans brothers show. And with his type of comedy, we never heard anything, any sort of mishaps or anything from him. You know what I mean?
Family man.
That's what I'm talking about.
His family surrounded him and said, by the way, he was the hardest working man they'd ever seen.
Oh, and I used to ask him all the time. I was like, why are you still working? You're rich. And he was just like, I had to put these kids through private school.
That's true. Well, rest in peace.
Miss you, John.
Yeah, that's right. DBL's live, and coming up, a mom's mission to help all children with special needs, how her twin boys inspired her ahead in Heart Threads. And you, the viewer, are our 5th host. More and more kids are participating in active shooter drills at school. Do they help, or are they giving them a lifetime of anxiety? Your comments coming up next.
Hi, DBL Nation. Kelly Schuberth here with the DBL digital team. Thanks for joining us here today. Let's go to the desk and see what's going on with our host.
Like when Al told his story, his story was the button. You know what I mean?
Let's stay over here for a minute. Guys, I'm tracking the California wildfires for you. There is a new fire burning. It's burning near the Ronald Reagan Library, so that is a concern for us. I'm watching that right now. Also, our 5th host coming up. We've got a great 5th host today. It's about kids and anxiety. Oh, hold on a second. Oh. It's about kids and anxiety, and we want to know what you think. Our school shooting drills in schools, does that give kids too much anxiety, or do you think it's a good idea? This is kind of an interesting topic. I'm not sure how I feel about this one because I don't have children, so it's kind of hard for me to be the judge on this one, but please write us in your DBL take and let us know what you think. Tori, we've got some comments coming in.
Yeah, every single comment has come in that says they believe he was killed. This is, of course, Jeffrey Epstein. Not one person thinks he was suicidal.
No.
Now, a lot of people think, including XOOX and Doris Shoemaker, that he was killed, and XOOX says someone could have paid the guards to kill him. Again, he was put on suicide watch.
That's what I think.
And then he was taken off suicide watch. Very strangely, no cameras were on him.
Very suspicious.
And the hyoid bone, if you guys watch ID or True Crime, like I do, the hyoid bone snapped.
That's a good one.
My husband was so scared that I watched so much Snap. But the hyoid bone is right there, and it's usually the first sign of a strangulation. Usually you see bruising or something, you're pushing it in. And it's hard for the hyoid bone.
To do it themselves.
It's a different bone that it hits when you hang yourself. Exactly. So people could wrap a thing and say, but you can tell
know. See, guys.
And here's why this isn't going away, because they haven't released the DNA that was found underneath his fingernails just yet, or the DNA that was found on sheets. So we're going to continue to get
Why
that.
Why does he have fingernail DNA underneath his fingernails if he had hung himself?
Hung himself, yeah.
Or excuse me, it's actually hanged himself.
Hanged himself. You are correct. It is.
Yeah, you hung. A picture was hung. You hang yourself. I know that's a bit morbid.
You can't say that.
No, but she's right.
No.
DBL Nation, let us know your DBL take on this story and all the other ones. See you soon. Bye.
Welcome back to DBL. Do you remember the duck and cover drills from the 50s? Ooh, I'll bet a lot of you do. Well, today's students are faced with a variety of much more extreme life-saving drills. Well, a Florida high school simulated an unannounced active shooter drill that left students and teachers shaken. Another school covered student actors in blood during a simulation. And one in Colorado encouraged kids to prepare to fight the shooter by gathering rocks, fire extinguishers, and scissors. So DBL Nation, it's time for you to become our 5th host. Are these extreme drills good, or are they giving kids a lifetime of anxiety? Let's get right to your comments.
All right, Gretchen says, in this day and age, I think it's a must. So sad, but it's a reality. And Gretchen, I think that school shooters represent a small threat to most American school children. I think the number, according to Washington Post, is 1 in 614 million. So I think you're giving these kids anxiety and making them uncomfortable, and I think there's better ways to maybe talk it through rather than having them in active situations, some of which where they actually are using fake pellet guns and getting in trouble for it. I think it's going too far.
Okay.
All right. Judith says, as of yesterday, I vividly remember being under my desk thinking a bomb was coming. I cannot imagine the damage it would have done if someone was jiggling the door handle, making me think a man with a gun was about to come in. And I think she's talking about the bomb training or bomb drills they did back in the day. But I look at it, we had fire drills growing up as kids. We weren't hurt. We didn't have anxiety. And you say you had that number 1 in 6 million or whatever that this could actually happen. But what's the first thing we hear parents and teachers say when it does happen to their school? Well, we would have never guessed. We would have never thought it would happen in this town. You have to prepare these kids. Maybe there's another way you can do it, but that's why you run drills, to get ready if something
from a person that ran routes for a living. You got to practice.
Drill yourself.
Yep. All right. Patricia says, better for them to be prepared in case of an active shooter situation. You only get a chance on survival. Get one chance. Well said.
Good job, Al.
All right. You know, what I'll say to that is I think that you prepare for everything. I mean, why would you take CPR? I wonder what the chances that you'll run into somebody having a heart attack, or a baby that needs CPR, somebody that needs the Heimlich maneuver. Well, guess what? My mother did the Heimlich maneuver on somebody. Guess what? I have a photo on my Instagram of the kids at Parkland a month before their shooting happened, protesting another shooting that happened in Santa Fe, saying, think about Santa Fe, not knowing what's going to happen to their school in 30 days. I think more than anything, these kids are already traumatized. We sit up here as adults in the middle of the day and talk about what's going on. What do you think they're texting about every day when there's another school shooting? What if it happens here? These kids are already thinking about it, so let's prepare them for it.
I kind of disagree with you guys. I might agree with Lindsay here. Jeanette says this is the world we're living in, and since our government seems to be doing nothing to protect them, this is what needs to be done. Jeanette,
we're giving them lip service. That counts.
Well, right. Jeanette, I do believe in what you're saying very strongly, that we aren't doing enough. But here's the deal. When I read this article, they had a fire drill, just like you said, as kids. And remember, we would slowly walk around and move. They had smoke simulated filling the rooms, and these kids were in kindergarten. So at some point, you've got to figure out a drill that's not going to cause anxiety, but is age appropriate. And I think a lot of people realize it's not age appropriate for some of the blood to be coming out of people's faces. I think that's a little much. We do have a spin-off news for Game of Thrones fans. Raquel, what's going on?
Well, Tori, lots of updates in the Game of Thrones world. Now, the hyped prequel starring Naomi Watts is no longer happening. HBO reportedly passed on the series after a pilot was shot earlier this year. It was supposed to take place thousands of years before the original show, but it looks like HBO is working on a 10-episode series called House of the Dragon, taking place 300 years before. When it comes to spin-offs, it looks like the competition is as tough as getting on the Iron Throne.
Wow, I didn't know they would turn down any spin-offs.
What?
Kind of like, let it go.
How bad do you have to feel if your pilot got axed? Like, you're next in line.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
First of all, as somebody's had TV shows and then not gone at the last second,
It's
like, you have that money spent in your head. I'm like, I'm the lead on
and
HBO.
Game of Thrones money you're spinning in your head. Like, man.
That's sad. All right. Well, coming up on DBL Creative Costumes just in time for Halloween, we're showing you some of the best ones that we found online and a special gym for kids. Discover why the sensory place is just what families need. Next in Heart Threads.
What's up, guys? I'm talking about, I kind of mentioned, Brandon and I were talking about the Game of Thrones, the prequel. They shot a pilot, and then I guess they didn't pick the series up. And I was just telling Brandon, as somebody that's had television shows, the way TV shows work is, let's say Brandon, Lindsay, and I are
you actually knew him.
down to the last 3 to be the next host of HGTV something or other. We all sign a contract that way, like there's no leverage. So like if they pick you, then you say, well, I want my price to be this much because you have leverage now. They make us all sign the same contract, that way we don't have any leverage. So you see what you're gonna get. And so now you know. So like you in the thing, there's no way to not be like, man, with that money, you're like, I get my mom a house, my dad, he's always went a 87 Mustang. So you're just going through all these things, and then like when it doesn't go, it was
tragedy.
It was just like,
he gonna cry in the car.
Oh yeah, I was so shocked I didn't even cry. I was just shocked.
I thought Game of Thrones was such a cult classic that no matter what they made, prequel or follow-up would happen.
This.
We're not doing so well for the last season, and we're coffee cups. I can't even breathe.
But
yeah.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Heart Threads is all about how a big idea can make an even bigger impact. Meet a mom who helped kids with special needs thrive in a welcoming environment.
This mom knows what it's like to raise children with special needs. So she made a special place for kids like hers to play and relax. Jen Johnson used to struggle with special care for her twin sons.
Both of my children have special needs. I was spending thousands of dollars out of pocket for non-covered services. And so this really, I wanted a place that I could supplement that, tried to make this an affordable option.
Creating the sensory place was Jen's answer to her own struggles and the struggles of other parents of kids with special needs.
We have customers that tell us, their kids had a meltdown at a play place and they were asked not to come back, or maybe police were called, or those type of things. And if that happens here, we understand. We wait for the child to recover and they go about their play.
The gym has specialty equipment usually found in professional therapy rooms, which helps children with speech, physical, and sensory disabilities. Jen even helps her customers after they leave the gym, keeping in touch and sharing info on resources through social channels. For parents, this type of service is critically important and long overdue.
Parents can relax and know it's okay if it's not a perfect day with their kid.
It's awesome that she was able to do all this and create this place that's, just for all the kiddos in the community.
Can we get a round of applause for Jen, please? Please, please. Thank you. You're an amazing woman, Jen. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
Welcome back to DBL. Tori Shulman talked to actor and comedian Ken Jeong and got the inside scoop on the weirdest show on TV, The Masked Singer, on today's Chatting with the Stars.
Ken, welcome to DBL. We are all huge fans of you and your comedy. I know you're here to talk about First Responders Day, and as a former doctor, you are all too familiar with first responders. So how can we support these everyday heroes who at DBL we love?
You know, they're the most important, you know, frontline element of healthcare. And so to me, having worked with first responders and all throughout my medical career, I can't think of a better way to celebrate First Responders Day by, giving them a toast with Heineken 00, alcohol-free, and it's the right call to be on call.
Oh, that's good.
And
that's good.
Yeah.
Slogan.
Yep. I came up with that myself.
Did you really?
Improvised line.
Improvised line. That's so good. I want to ask, you're a judge on Masked Singer. What is it about this epically weird show? We talk about it every week that connects with audiences so much.
It's the #1 show in Korea, and I'm of Korean descent. And my mom sent me like video links of the show, and she said, and I quote, this show will be a hit, and this will be good for your career.
Whoa.
And she actually said that. I'm not even kidding. So basically, I did the show, to please my mom. And so it really did. I was like, all right, just get off my back. I'll do the show,
You were a terrible, notoriously terrible guesser. You once mistook your own former co-star Margaret Cho for Melissa Rivers.
I think maybe like Melissa Rivers, maybe.
Has it gotten any easier for you?
No, I've gotten dumber.
Okay,
and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I think I'm like the Homer Simpson of the show in terms of guesses.
Now, in honor of
I mean, when you think the poodle is Dog the Bounty Hunter, that pretty much, which was a real guess of mine last year.
Yeah, that was a hard no on that one. Yeah. So in honor of First Responders Day, and all that they do in Florida especially, we want to have you guess which of these Florida man headlines is real or fake, okay? So I'm going to give you a Florida headline, and you just say real or fake. Okay, #1.
Yep.
Florida man accused of robbing Chinese restaurant at Finger Point. Is this real or fake?
That's fake.
Okay, that was real. Florida man with no arms charged with stabbing Chicago tourist. Is that real or fake?
Fake.
Real. It actually happened on your birthday, July 13th. And finally, Florida man learns the hard way he stole laxatives, not opioids. Is this real or fake?
That sounds real.
Oh, that's so real. They're all real. That was an excellent job. You got the last one right. I'm amazed. That's a hard day for that guy.
Wow, I'm actually smarter at Florida man guessing than I am on The Masked Singer.
We should start a new show. It'd be very niche audience. I think that's really great.
The Florida Mask.
The Florida Mask.
We just do that.
It's totally true.
Yeah.
Ken, it's been such an honor. I love talking to you. I hope to someday work with you in an improv situation. Good luck on Masked Singer.
That'd be amazing.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I love that guy. He's hilarious. Tori, not so much. We'll be right back.
Remember, DBL is better than ever. We're talking with the father of school shooting victim, Kendrick Castillo.
He was my best friend, and he was the love of his mother's life.
A woman finds out her mother's fertility doctor may be the father.
I'm thinking my dad is not my biological father.
Meeting a transgender mountain climber determined to conquer the world.
Took the risk of becoming my authentic self.
And unraveling mysteries in our true crime chronicles. And that's just the beginning of what's happening on Daily Blast Live this November. We never stop talking about what you're talking about.
November is going to be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Stuff coming.
It sounds corny, but I'm excited for all the stuff we have coming up, and I'm also I'm looking forward to the interview with Jeff and Mr. Castillo, but I know
it's going to be a rough.
It's going to be
The coolest part is how we've all raised our game and how we're looking forward to raise our game, because obviously it's sweeps, but at the same time it's like we're competitive here, and no one wants to be that weakest link. So
we all know who that is.
Keep raising your game, brother. You're gonna be able to be nice like us one day.
Thank you, Brandon. Every day,
moving
a boy
on.
can dream.
Yeah, right. Halloween is tomorrow, and kids are already showing off their creative costumes. Let's take a look. There's this kid who is dressed as the viral Popeyes chicken sandwich.
That's insanely cute.
These two girls are prizes in a claw machine. I think that's cute. And check out these boys dressed as Han Solo and Chewbacca in a mini
Okay.
I know.
Millennium.
Yeah.
She's trying to tell me Millennium Falcon. So sorry, made by the
But
dad.
the best Halloween costume for a young child would be boom, boom. Look at my Kaya man.
Fresh with the Dorito chip in the hand. Look at those cheeks.
Look at those
cheeks.
I call them teethuses. Look at those
what a
teethuses.
cutie. Oh,
We
she's
love
so
you,
cute.
Boo Boo. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Mm-hmm.